What's up, Juventini Alberto here, got all your Juve news. Alright, Skira and Agresti have now contradicted themselves in regards to a top target. We're going to take a look at the details on that one. Skira gives us an update on Federico Chiesa's contract renewal. I've got an update coming out of Turin that I'm going to share with you in regards to Federico Chiesa. Max Allegri's presser ahead of the Derby della Mola, and is the writing on the wall, and are those the signs we take out of this presser? We're going to tackle that and all the rest of the rumors. We got a fun one lined up today, so like the video, subscribe to the channel. This is the AJC. Let's rock. And before we even get to the news, we got another birthday shout out going out, and this one goes out to the legendary manager himself, Marcello Lippi, who won 13 trophies with Juventus. He is my all-time favorite manager, and I don't think that's ever going to change. It's going to take one hell of a run from somebody to ever take that away, all right? But there is nothing left to be said about Marcello Lippi that hasn't already been said, so we're just going to leave you with a little quote that might be fitting for this particular Juventus. But he says it bothers him to see a coach, any coach, insist on a system when he sees that the players he has are not made to carry it out. He must observe the players he has and their qualities, and it is his role to get the best out of the team. Marcello Lippi, always very vocal about how he sees the coaching element and the influence coming from there. Never shied away from giving his insights into what was going on at certain clubs all around Europe. Always had a ton of admiration and respect in how he operated, always involving his players and his main leaders and getting them on board and getting that buy-in. Love the guy, and great manager. Tanti auguri go out to Marcello Lippi. Now we get to the news. We've heard about the goalkeeping situation around Juventus, some of the targets being listed and whatnot. Di Gregorio's come up as a target, but today the news, the price tag is 20 million euros, which is a cheap option for Juventus to get in there. However, there's going to be a lot of competition apparently. Inter is interested, Milan, Roma, and even some Premier League sides. And this is all according to Mirko Di Natale. And you got to think, and we all know about Di Gregorio, who his favorite side is and whatnot. If Inter went in, he would most likely jump on that offer. For Juventus, we don't have to act this summer. This is something we could sit behind and wait for a little bit. Perin, a lot of you, I'd say the majority, are ready to even go into a season with him as the starter. So it's not a crucial situation for the goalkeeping status at Juventus at this moment. It is something we could wait on, in my personal opinion. Now we get to Charlie Patino. The 20-year-old is apparently not in Mikel Arteta's plans, and he will not be renewing his contract. This could be an opportunity for Juventus to get another free transfer in the summer. Juventus has been monitoring him a lot, according to Mirko Di Natale. Over the past several months, we heard links with the player going back to the winter mercato, and they're for sure going to ramp up this summer as well. And remember what Romeo Agresti said, that do not be surprised with multiple free transfers coming from Juventus this summer. Okay, now in terms of Agresti and Nico Skira, they have contradicted themselves, and they have contradicted themselves in regards to Xerxes of Bologna, all right? So Romeo Agresti coming out and saying there are absolutely no links between Xerxes and Juventus. Well, Nico Skira contradicts that, saying that Juventus is very much still monitoring and still in the race for Xerxes. All right, so you have yourself a contradiction there, and we will see what develops. But Skira says no, Juve is still very much involved as one of the three main sides looking at the striker. Okay, Tommaso Barbieri, he is on a loan at Pisa. He has impressed some Serie A sides, could be used as a counterpart in some deals for Juventus, but there's also now the rumor that surfaced he could be integrated into Juve's squad this upcoming season. So we'll have to see what happens with the youngster. Federico Chiesa. Nico Skira reports that Juve is currently, as we speak, working on the renewal and the extension for the player. Most media outlets are stating that it is the top priority for Juventus at this moment. My contacts out of Turin are stating Now, this is multiple out of Turin for me saying that it is very much a sign and sale type situation. Juve is going to push, get that contract extension, and they are saying that then they will put him right back into the market and try to maximize what they can get for the player, maybe even banking on some good strong showings at the Euros. We will wait and see what happens with Federico Chiesa. Romeo Gresti, though, says in his opinion right now is not the time to move Federico Chiesa or Dusan Vlahovic. Do you agree or disagree with Romeo Gresti? Hit me in the comments. For me, I actually agree. I don't think now is the time, even with that extension. However, if you're only renewing him for 1 year, you are going back into the same scenario next summer. So maybe it is the right time. Maybe the right time will be dependent on what he does at the Euros. It's going to be interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, okay? As far as Romeo Gresti says, he says that Kostic and Illing Jr. will both be moved this summer. Kostic because of his age, Illing Jr. because there is no contract renewal. He is going to go into his final contract year. So he's saying bye-bye to both of those players. Look for that to go down. Now, we get to Allegri's press conference ahead of the Derby della Mola. We will be live at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, getting you hyped up and ready for that one. I am going to be doing a watch-along, and we're going to do our brand new post-match call-in shows, all right? So look for that as well. Now, you've got two doubts named by Allegri going into this match tomorrow, and they're both at the wings. He needs to make a decision between Kostic and Illing and Cambiaso and Weah. All right, so he says those are the only doubts he carries about the lineup. He says he is happy and honored to have won as many derbies as Trapattoni. All right, he says we are within our objectives still, and we need to approach them with enthusiasm and passion from here on out. And he says as far as his future goes, the club will decide. And he says as far as I go, I am just focused on reaching our goals. Now, in terms of one win since this dark period, he says we can't be naive and fall asleep here or change our minds just because of that one victory against Fiorentina. Torino is a tough side, strong defensively, and he says we must be ready, prepared, and again, going back to that energy enthusiasm that needs to be carried out from here on out to hit the objectives. But many are feeling that the writing is on the wall, and maybe he even alluded to it in some of the statements he made that Giuntoli is going to be looking after the future of Juventus. The future is bright. Speaking about himself, saying that I am not going to be in charge of the decision. The decision is up to Juventus, and they will decide what's best for Juventus. And a little bit of separation there now being created by Allegri and Giuntoli and the management. Whereas for a long part, it felt like there was this connection. And now maybe we're starting to see some of those cracks. In terms of the objectives, Allegri is standing firm on the objectives being all that counts, because he says right now we are within our objectives. And he said, if we fail to qualify for the Champions League, then my future is not of my concern, because the decision will have already have been made. Well, Nico Schira says that the feeling is the same, that it is over and a change is coming. What does my contact out of Turin say? My contact from Turin said previously, as I shared on the last one of the last Berto bombs, that there are 3 managers in the running. Okay, as of yesterday, he says one of those 3 have dropped out. All right. So he says it's getting more and more to the point where you can say if they make a change, Malta is going to be that guy, almost to the point where he's ready to go and bank on it. All right. So we take everything we hear, no matter who it comes from, with a grain of salt. But that is the latest, everybody. You guys know the drill. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Can't wait to hear your thoughts and comments on all the news I gave you today. And don't forget to join us live, starting with the preview show, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. As always, fino alla fine, Forza Juventus. Ciao tutti.